Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay.
As you guys needed.
Yeah, because I was like, how do we get up? We don't have them. Emily, there's some, I think the debt is extra papers for stuff if you need, like agenda and all the stuff that we have.
A minute. You got it. This is for a different meeting. Why won't that let me mute it? Because if there's a quorum, I'm just going to log off. As if I'm the host, and I'm not the host. All right. I did. They begged me. CPA exploratory because of the BOS thing tonight too.
So it got one?
So they are having another emergency meeting before the BOS meeting or whatever tonight. I don't get it. That's why I said I'm not going. And then we don't go to the quorum. All right, 6:30. We're ready to open the meeting. Call to order. So the first item, any new membership interest at all?
No, oh, shoot, you know what? Deidre Cole, yeah, said that, while she can't commit to coming all the time, she'd be happy to be helping out. And I think I forgot to tell her too. Some meeting tonight. She was gonna come.
I don't feel like she's reached out to me recently.
Oh, did
about
she?
Something, and I don't remember what it was, so
Yeah.
I'll but now that you say that.
Yeah, because she did. Well, you know what? Right now they don't have a car. Because they have a car in the house.
Oh, okay.
They're okay though. But
So like maybe day of, like one-offs and stuff.
yeah, because she said she can come to some of the meetings and stuff too. She kind of scaled back a little bit on some of the stuff she was doing because it was too much. But yeah, so that's all I know about.
Okay. I saw you posting it online. That's good.
Nice meeting.
Yeah, and all that stuff. Yeah. I'm like, come
Don't
on.
show up.
Oh, actually, no, I didn't see who it was. Who was? Oh,
I was
Jesus.
like, do not come.
Yeah.
Abort, abort. Sorry. That was just the only thing I could think of. Just kidding. Just kidding. Cancel.
Okay. Glass art.
Yeah, so I just want to make note that I changed this because you were a little bit, there was some confusion between like updates and old business. So I put
Mhm.
like coordinator updates. So these are kind of just things we can run through for the most of the point. And then old business is more things that maybe still need
General,
discussion.
yeah.
So art night, our glass art, we have still sold 10 tickets. We haven't had any more sales, but that's still pretty good. It's like half booked, better than some of our other stuff. So that was good. I put the string art up for sale finally. We don't have any sales as of yet. I did create a promo code. So I originally listed $35. She charges $25, and I was hoping we could make a little extra on this one. I put it down to 30, and then I also made a promo code first 5 people will get it for
Oh.
25, which is what she charges for us. I don't hope that the promotion would bring
Yeah.
some more people in.
Do you
I
have a
just did that
picture of
yesterday. Yeah, it's
Okay,
still the
good.
butterflies.
Yeah.
Yeah, she sent that out to me, so.
Oh,
Got that all up. March, I finally went into see
Hello?
Michelle today, stop in. She is gonna do the flower arranging class.
Hello?
hello.
Hello.
And she wants
Who do
to
we-
just like do it for free and bring all the supplies and donate them. so
I
that
don't
we
know what
can have some
Tiffany's
sort of
doing
trust.
on this.
She said we could charge whatever we think is
Oh,
reasonable,
wonderful.
like
Tiffany?
$25.
Tiffany?
Be a good price point for these kinds of events, so.
It's Deborah. Deborah needs to mute.
Oh,
Deborah's at the recreation meeting.
oh, gotcha.
simultaneously.
Okay. We need 6 for a quorum, so.
Well, Deborah zoomed in and doing the recreation at the same time in person.
Okay, I don't see her on here. Want to give her a holler, Kyle?
Yeah, yeah.
Wait a minute. Here comes Adam, so. Give us a quorum of, well, actually, no, it doesn't, because we still need Deb. Yeah, if you could give her a
Okay.
holler.
Yeah, she's coming.
Okay.
She said she was here. She just left because it wouldn't let her mute. So she'll
Oh.
try again.
Okay,
She's got her iPad there.
gotcha. All right.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, whoever that is. One, two, three, four. Who's the co-host? Is that,
Deborah says she's on, so that must be her. You
okay,
on, Deborah?
Yeah, I'm on, but I don't know why it would say I'm the host.
just the way you logged on. That's okay. We can keep you that way. Why don't we, Deb, while you're here, could you please take minutes? Okay, why don't we,
I'm sorry, can someone else?
excuse me?
Yeah, I can take notes.
Okay, thank you, Adam.
I'm not available to take minutes.
Okay, good enough. Can we bring this meeting to order at 6:37?
Yeah.
Okay. The only reason to be here tonight is to get that draft article that we all agree on and send it to the Board of Selectmen, who will then in turn go through it, council to review it and finalize it. And then it'll go on the special town meeting warrant. Hopefully it'll lead to the putting it on the ballot for the annual town meeting. Okay, Mark, did you have a chance? I saw that over the weekend you were going to try to put something together.
Right. I just had said that I had a little bit of time to find a few going through the towns that had pieces that I like.
Okay,
And there's 2 items that I haven't found existing anywhere else that I think we should add, that I need to bring up tonight, see what you guys think. I mean, a lot of it's like pretty standard type stuff, but different towns word it differently, and some people include some things and some people don't. But I was hoping that, the last couple of months that we all have been perusing other towns' bylaws that I keep asking, but if anybody else has done that, I don't know.
Do you like
I-
to share the one that you,
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. It's been a little bit of time since I had time to look at it, so I'm trying to remember what I highlighted that I liked. I'm looking at the errors right now, and I have highlighted. They have all their items are called chapters. Yeah, there's chapters and then there's numbers for subsets. I like the way they do that. And then I have highlighted chapter 4 amendments. This bylaw may be amended from time to time by a majority vote of town meeting consistent with provisions of general law section 44B.
I opened it up for you to share if you'd like to present it on the screen.
I don't know how to do that. Does anybody have any know how to do that?
Yeah,
Um,
the
I'm on
share
an iPad
content
if that helps. What do I do?
at the top, there should be a shared content. It's green. Do you see? I'm on an
Oh, yeah.
iPad too. Yeah.
Okay. Now I gotta get it. Oh, let's see. Let me see if I can find it. I have it on a different. Oh, here we go. Oh, wow, it works. Woohoo. So I had, it's not showing my annotated though. Anyway, is this there? So it's the chapter 4 right here in the middle of the page. I had that one highlighted. The severability. I can't remember. Yeah, I mean, I can't remember why I had different ones highlighted, but these are the ones I liked. I thought we should include chapter 5 and then chapter 6.
why don't we start from the top, Mark?
With errors.
Yes.
Okay. I mean, that like I don't think I like theirs. So the first basic thing that every one of them has is the establishments that you have to adopt, by the CPA guidance, which is, like one member from planning board, one member from conservation. And then we should obviously, like, different than this one, we should put 4 citizen seats. And then we talked about having those citizen seats be elected rather than appointed. And a lot of towns, some of them stagger it so that of those 4 seats, one is for a 1-year term, one is for a 2-year term, one is for a 3-year term. Some towns don't stagger it. And I mean, it seems like Winchendon staggers a lot of their committees. I don't know that it's really that important in my mind that it needs to be staggered. I guess it creates a little bit of overlap. They've also slightly staggered the mandatory positions. Like here, they have the Conservation Commission 1 year. And my idea on this point is that we make, because all these boards have regular meetings, I think that we should make all of their terms 1 year, because it's really easy for them to make a motion to elect who they want to represent them each year. So I think that the good thing about this is that it's separate from the town, and I think it should be something that if people aren't liking it, if they're not liking what one of those board members is doing, they can go to that committee and they can talk to that committee and say, hey, can you guys elect a different person to chair on this board, or to sit on the CPA committee. So it's if they're all 1 year terms for the necessary members of those, I think it'd be good to have them be 1 year. That way it'd be easier for a citizen to affect change and to bring it up. And I
And
don't know.
that's flexible, the 1 year. I mean,
Yeah,
it seems like, I'm sorry. It seems like after 1 year, people just finally start understanding what's going on. At least that's my experience. So, and I'm not sure if this is how our meetings are going to progress, but we can just interject ideas, I suppose, as you go through, but maybe 2 years or 3 years, because there is some apathy in town. too. So, you know,
Well,
who,
these are, I'm talking about not for the appointed, I'm not talking about for the citizen seats. I'm talking about for the mandatory seats from existing
Right.
boards and commissions. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I agree that I think it should be longer than a year because you don't get much done in a year if you've ever been on,
Right, but
especially
those
with this
committees,
being new.
those committees can just make a motion to select the same guy again or the same person again, right?
Then there's an admin thing too there. I don't know. I would just say the two, but that's all.
What about the overlap? Do you think that there should be the overlap where one is 1 year and one is 3 years, or should they all be the same? But the towns I looked at, it varies. Some towns
Yeah,
have it all
overlap.
2 years,
Definitely overlap.
so we
And you
pick
don't
one
want
for
an
1 year
all-new
and one for
board
2
where
years.
nobody knows what's going on.
Yeah,
So it's-
stagger, I would call that,
Yeah.
right?
Stagger, yeah. Anyway, so those are the things to think about for that one.
Why don't we stop there for a minute? And go through it and get a consensus on how that should read. So I guess I looked at the sample that was in the cpa.org or whatever it is, and it was fairly vanilla. And it was just one paragraph long. And I'm wondering what the difference is between the air literature
Yeah,
versus an article at a special election to adopt the CPA. I guess I don't
well,
get
there's
that.
there's two things going on. There's articles that you have to adopt that have to be in there, and then there's the bylaw, and they can both be presented at the same time to be voted on as a group. And it depends on which town, how they did it, but that's, I mean, has anybody looked at how the other towns did it? They're all available on the website.
I've
I
looked
think
at Natick and Air, but you know, I don't feel like I have a good handle on what the variations are. I think just outlining what the, you know, it seems like it should be a template with a little more structure in terms of understanding the nuances. So I'm, you know, just trying to grasp that.
Well, that's why it's good to look at all the other towns, is because there are a lot of it is like boilerplate type stuff that they all included the same language, and then they all had like some variations. And so, I mean, I just, all I did was look at a few towns and try to get a feel for it so we could come together and talk about ideas we had about what we liked from different places.
Right, but
And
you
I
seem to
think-
catch on faster than I did. So thanks for all the work and research, Mark.
Oh, no worries. I didn't get very far. Like I went through, you know, maybe 10 towns maximum, and that was just quick glancing. So don't rely on me totally for this. I'm just, you know, giving my opinion about some of the ones that I looked at. Hey, just by the way, when I'm scrolling around and moving this, are you guys seeing it move?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll stop doing that. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna make you dizzy.
Can I just put up the sample that they give?
Yeah.
at-
So what
at
you're
the
talking,
website?
talking
ahead.
about is like the boilerplate stuff that you have to have, and then there's also the bylaw level, and it kind of gets confused between the two. I think you can kind of meld them together. But it is interesting that different towns do different things. Yeah,
They
put the
actually
boiler.
made, go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, no, go put your thing up so we can.
Yeah, I'm trying
Right.
to figure out, now I got to figure out how to share it. Okay, I'm on a regular,
Let's see if I can.
okay, yeah, okay. I just got it.
You emailed it, right?
I'm not sure.
So the variations as I get, correct me, basically, they can be elected or appointed. It can be a variation of at least those mandatory people, but you can add however many citizens. And then there's about if you can save the money or purchase properties. And there was something about who decides how the money is going to be distributed. Like, we don't want, for example, the committee should decide how the money is used every year. Are those the main variations?
Yes,
what
I think so.
I saw most towns have it up to town meeting. The main variation on that is when you have a mayor versus a town meeting government. That's the only thing I saw that stood out at varying on that. Most people have the committee decides what to bring to the town meeting, and then the town meeting votes to accept what they've chosen. And I think that I don't know, I mean, I think that can get nuanced to the point where does the town get to vote on each one individually that the board brings? I don't know how that works. Or is it just a package? The board says, here's the package. We think that these are what should be funded. Vote yes or no. Or is it here's application A, application B, application C. I don't know how that works. And I don't know if that's something that we want to nuance in our version or not. If anybody has ideas on that.
I'm trying to, so basically you put out to the town meeting the options rather than have the committee decide. We're gonna do this project, or these are the three options on how we spend the money. Is that kind of what you're talking about?
Yeah, so like, I mean, the committee is gonna parse through whether each application is viable, whether it fits within the guidelines of the CPA Act. Obviously, they'll see what passes muster and then forward it to town meeting. And then is it at town meeting, these are the ones that pass muster, or is the committee saying, these are the ones that I think make sense? And then if they say, if they do that, are they saying them individually, or are they saying it as a package? I don't know.
I say
those
keep it
things.
simple. I think it would be hard for people to understand all the nuances, and when the committee goes through opportunities and decides where to spend the money, I think putting out the details and weeds would be a bit too much.
Yeah. But what happens when there's 5 things that the board wants to fund, and a whole bunch of people don't want the money to go to that one of those things, and then they shut them all down because they only have an option of yes or no?
Well, they shut them down. We keep the money and we try again next meeting.
Yeah, but I
Okay.
think they should be separate because there's the 5 separate, you know what I mean? Like, say the historical, say like the housing authority wants to hold on to their portion of the money and they're not doing anything that year, but the historical society might have something. So I think those 5 areas should be separate. Like, you're not gonna do a package, like we're gonna vote yay, nay on the whole package, because I think it should be separate, but we're not gonna have all 5 every year because I would think the committees would want to build up a reserve and have,
Oh yeah,
what I
that's
mean?
that actually ties into one of my things, that the 2 points that I haven't found in another town that I want to add is, I think that we should reserve a percentage every year, period, no matter what, like 25% or something. And the idea is that that's reserved for accumulation for larger projects. And even so, say you reserve 25% this year, 25% next year, and then the 3rd year you have a big project that'll use up both of those. That year you would still reserve 25%, but you can spend the 50 that you've added up. I think
just remember in this conversation that funds are out, portions of the funds are allocated to specific.
Yeah, like 30%.
Yeah, so.
Yeah. But
we can,
30% of the CPA by nature falls, has a likelihood or a good chance of falling within that realm anyway.
yeah.
There's only 4 or 5 realms.
So basically, let's say, the Historic Commission gets 10% and the other four organization or other four entities get the rest of it. Every year, the Historic Commission gets their 10%. And when they are ready, if they want, and then, but there's a larger group that can, is it 50% goes to open space or, I have to look at the 5 entities again.
It's
But
10, it's
basically,
10% for 3 of them, I think, right?
Well, let me ask it this way. Do each of those departments or commissions or whatever you want to call them, entities, do each of them get their percentage, whether they spend it or not?
Yes.
yes.
Okay.
I thought it was 10% to 4 of them. Maybe I'm wrong.
It could be 4. It's 3 or
Okay.
4, right?
Yeah,
don't have my
whatever
notes
those
with me.
entities are.
I
All right,
think
can
it's
we,
4.
can we take a minute to look at, can everybody see what I put up on the screen?
No, I'm still looking at Mark's screen, I believe.
Oh,
Yeah, we're seeing the kind of one paragraph Google Doc.
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing your
Okay.
thing,
Is
David.
that what you put up, David?
Yep.
To see if the town will accept? Okay.
yeah, and what my thoughts were prior to coming into this meeting and seeing what Mark presented was that this would be the template that we would use, and then we would add sections to it, which would be, what our exemptions are going to be and what percentage we're recommending.
Yeah. I
Even
think-
the
Yeah.
exemptions we're
Yeah.
recommending. So if we mold that back into let's go back, Mark. I'm going to stop sharing and go back to yours. Well,
Okay,
we can
let
go,
me-
just read this real quick, just speed read this real quick. Basically, what it's saying is that we are going to accept sections 3 through 7 of chapter 43B of the general laws.
It says
Yeah.
44B.
Yeah, 44B.
Yeah,
Of
this is
Mass-
the boiler.
Mass
This is the
General
stuff we
laws.
don't have an option on this stuff. Like those things have to be. This has to be done.
So this is the beginning, and then under where,
Yeah.
and what you're saying, Mark, is under
So
those
what
are the chapters that you're
my
talking
interest
about?
was more the bylaw part, which is more specific adoption for the town. Which
Okay, I
has,
stopped sharing, so you can go back and share. what
Okay,
you
let me
had.
find it again. So let's see what this was. I'm not sure which one this is. Oh no, that's ours. Sorry, I have all in the same folder. So like here's Acton's, for example. I don't know why I grabbed it because I don't have anything highlighted on it, but so they have most of the towns do this. They have more honing in. Let me find a paragraph to show you what I'm talking about. So like this 3.4 here near the top, each fiscal year, the committee shall recommend spending or setting aside later spending, not less than 10%. Let's see. That's like some of the boilerplate stuff. That's not what I'm thinking of. Hang on a second, let me find one. That's not a good one. Sorry, guys. I didn't have much time to prepare for this.
No, that's fine. That's fine. We understand.
Let's go back to the air one. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Okay, so these are the things that I was thinking about, like that's not such boilerplate, but most towns have a version of this paragraph. The chapter 2:1, the Community Preservation Committee shall study the needs, possibilities, resources of the town. And then that they should hold one annual public informational hearing. So those are places where you could say they should hold 2 annual public informational hearings or 1. I mean, there's room for putting in language, like if we want to steer it in a particular direction or have like a paradigm in there somehow. But I don't know, these things varied from town to town, but every town has like their own version of that paragraph. Some of them are longer. I don't know, I was thinking like it'd be good if people just all would copy and paste particular ones that they like, and then we could put it together. I mean, there's like nitty gritty about like the amendments thing I was talking about and the severability, and then you have the effective date. Like all those there, I mean, there's just a bunch of legalese stuff you have to put in there. The other item that I want to add that nobody else has is I think that we should, it should be put in there that the town will sit on the money for the entire first year in a way that everybody, every committee and every person in the town has a year to learn about the thing and to put an application in before the money comes. And then thereafter also, every year we do the same thing. Like you wait, you don't disperse until town meeting and you have the money. So you don't tell people like, okay, we're gonna do your thing. Which is kind of what Justin was getting at when he was saying that that it's smart to take loans on it. That's what the danger of that I don't like. One of the dangers that I don't like about that is that it means that town hall can say, this is just an example. Town hall can put in the application in January for fixing up town hall, and or let's say the Murdoch, they could put in an application for fixing up the Murdoch, and then the committee can say, yeah, we're going to put that on the ballot or on the town meeting vote, and then they can just think it's a shoe-in that everybody's going to vote for that because whoever's for Murdoch knows all the people that go to the town meeting and that they know that they're going to back them with a vote, and they go ahead and get a loan to fund it. And then you've wound up cutting everybody else out from an equal share of being considered at the end of the year. And to prove that this kind of thing happens in our town, at the meeting we recently had trying to get our town special town election thing, the vice chair didn't want us to meet to vote on putting this on the ballot because he has a friend in Florida that moved to Florida. And he said friends moved to Florida. He really meant one person that's announced on Facebook. It's actually our moderator, our town moderator moved to Florida. And so it seems like he doesn't want to have her to have to fly back here. But he wants to wait for all the snowbirds that went to Florida to vote for this. So he's going to say he's going to apply for money for Murdoch and then have all his wait for the vote for all his friends to come back to town who he knows want to vote for Murdoch. And as an example, you know, I'm not saying I'm against funding Murdoch, but the town is. The town keeps voting, let's not spend a whole bunch of money on Murdoch. And town hall keeps saying, let's do it. And then we have a vice chair of the Board of Selectmen saying, let's not vote on anything until we have all the snowbirds come back from Florida because I know they're going to vote for what I want to vote for. So
David?
I think we should nip that in the butt and just say we have to wait a year to
Yeah, I
decide.
agree. How about you don't spend money you don't have? I mean, have we
Yeah.
learned anything yet? We
Yeah.
don't have
I-
money.
David?
And our school systems are going to be closing here. We have to regionalize. We wasted all this money, all these years. We pay what, double for it with all the interest? Ridiculousness. I'd love to put something in that you can't borrow against it.
Well, let's
Okay,
do that too.
Can we let Kyle, he asked to be heard. Kyle?
Okay, I'm just gonna share my opinion. I really, really don't care about people in Florida. I really don't think we should structure town business around people's vacation habits and let it handcuff the town in any way. They know what goes on in our town. If they don't want to be here for it, that's on them. We shouldn't structure town business in any aspect of town business around people who decide to go out of town. That's my opinion.
I agree with that. How do others feel?
Yeah,
I agree.
reasonable.
Mary and Mark?
I agree, but I just have to be honest that I've, you know, being in a military family, I've been attending meetings from Maryland often, but our retirement home is Winchendon. So I just want to put that out there that while I agree exactly with what Kyle's saying, just everybody, just to be above board. I have been purchasing from elsewhere part of the time. But
Yeah,
And
but I live here. It's my legal address. It's my voting place. I'm not going away. So
Yeah.
I just wanted to say, just to be above board. I agree with
I
Kyle, though.
just think the selectmen's, one person spent a lot of time on that issue, and I think that's a non-issue. There's nothing in the bylaws that allows for it. There's nothing that allows for making concessions for people's vacation habits. And I don't even think this should be brought up. It's really a non-issue. That's on them. And it shouldn't affect our business in any way.
and since you asked me, I think it concerns me that that we're even thinking this way, because that is it just seems very much against being open and honest. Now, part of the reason we have a town meeting is so that people can come together. But personally, I have been suspicious when we have these special town meetings, when things seem to pass remarkably. And I think that the timing and audience has been thought and played not only here, but on many levels of government. So yes, I agree with that one.
Okay. Now I was kind of looking at two different things as the discussion was going on previously. Can we tie this back to what we are looking at as far as article and bylaw? Or did I miss something?
I think it sounds like we're adding the 3 points, and then we're gonna go with kind of boilerplate stuff that everybody else has, but we need to find a version we like. And then it's also been brought to my attention that this all needs to get reviewed by town lawyers and stuff like that. Like, we're not as citizens responsible for the legalese
The
necessarily.
legalese, yeah, no, we're not.
But we can provide them a copy and paste of what we like from other towns.
I think so. And I don't understand exactly, quite honestly, I don't understand a lot of this. Actually, I'm getting a better understanding of it, but I don't understand, quite honestly, the relationship between the article and the bylaw. And because I'd rather have more included and be told that we don't need it, as opposed to not doing it and being told that we do need to have it.
I agree. The reason I agree is because if you don't give the bylaw now, you're asking the town to put something on the ballot that's nebulous. And like the restrictions we were just talking about, there's going to be people that will vote for it that wouldn't have otherwise without those, I think. And if it's not there, then they don't know what they're voting on. So that's why I think the bylaw should be included with the vote, with the legalese boilerplate stuff that you have to have.
How
Does anybody
Go ahead.
know if I can go on Google and share what I'm looking at? Is there a way
You
to do
should.
that? I'm gonna try.
Yeah, you should also just share your browser.
You share your
I know.
screen, so whatever you're looking at is going to be shared.
I can't get to where I can just oh, screen, there it is. Thanks. So I
Just
guess
be
I hit
careful what you
Zoom.
have on your screen.
Right. Okay, so I hit start broadcast, go screen broadcast. Let's see. Can you guys see me?
Yep.
I'm just seeing a thing that's giving a countdown.
Oh, it's saying it's recording.
Oh, stop. That's not what I wanted. I'm sorry. I don't even know how to get out.
If you go back to that green share, it should pop up with each of the windows you've got open or whatever you have on an iPad and allow you to pick
Okay,
one.
while we're talking, I'm just gonna go to my browser and find it so that I don't make you guys have to sit through that. So I'm just gonna do that while we're talking.
Okay.
So I think I've got it saved somewhere. I just want to show you guys this page. Okay. Now I should go screen, and then it says screen broadcast, start broadcast, or Zoom. So I guess screen broadcast, or is it start broadcast?
Screen broadcast.
Okay. Yeah, that's not doing anything. So I need to do start.
How did you do the first one? Because it should be the same.
That was, I went specifically to stuff I had saved. Like it gives you different apps I can go to. Now it's
Right.
doing,
I think you should be.
oh, here we go, here we go.
There you go. Okay.
Let's see if I can make that happen. Can you guys see that?
I see a dog.
That's not,
I think we
Um,
see your screen.
you do? See, I can't get to where I can
Well,
control
now
it.
there we go.
There's the dog again.
You don't see the community preservation site?
We
We
do
do.
Now
now.
we do. Now we do.
Okay. You got it too, Kyle?
Yes, I have it.
Okay, so this is the page on there where you go to this bylaw ordinance. You can choose your municipality, like we can just pick, I mean, let's pick Billerica. And then you can go to the bylaw ordinance. And then you see theirs, what they've done. So I guess that's what it is. The ordinance is what you're talking about, David.
Mhm.
And then the bylaw. So it's both of them together, it seems like. So here's theirs. I mean, I was just trying to show you guys where they sit on the site. If that's not enough, I can show you. So this page is in, if you go to the data bank, go to the detailed information on each community CPA program, the second one from the top, the red highlighted one. And then that gets you to this, and then you can choose from whatever town and then hit the bylaw ordinance and you can see theirs. So I just wanted to show everybody how to find other towns. Because I got a way better idea once I like looked through, if you just browse through a few of them.
Yeah, what's also interesting here as far as kind of special cases is that the only thing the web page presents in that table is what are the exemptions, right? It's like yes percentage, no percentage, year adopted, fee percent, and then exemptions. So to me, it feels like the special exemptions are the things we really need to focus on as far as the proposal.
Yeah, because if you go back to that CPA website, Mark, and go back
Yep.
where it gives you the steps. One of the steps is the town warrant article. And on that same page below it is bylaw. And it tells you what 3 things need to be included in the bylaw.
Oh, on the one you had or on this?
Yeah, go back, go to
fourth?
data bank.
Yep.
I can't see your whole screen, so. It's not it. There was here, let me go.
I'll hit. I mean, there's adoption data in this. That's what I had it on.
Yeah, the sample home adopting CPA.
On the back one.
Yeah, I think I'm on mine now, so. Oh, maybe it's its own tab. If you go back to home for the CPA coalition, go to home and then go to adopting CPA and just click on it.
An overview of the adoption process.
Oh. Now where do you want me to go?
Good question. Adoption resources.
Sample ballot language? We're not at the
Yes,
ballot point yet, though. Yeah.
sample C.
I thought we're working on
Yeah,
a warrant.
sample ballot language. And there, it gives you a town meeting warrant article, which was that vanilla one I presented. And you scroll down from there. And it gives you the bylaw or ordinance content.
And that looks a lot like what we have.
Yeah.
Right, and it says, the number of members, these need to be specified in the bylaw. Number of members, their length, and the method of selecting them.
So do you guys want to, I mean, it sounds like you're trying to make this happen really fast, David. Like, do you want to And I think we need to have it before the 19th, right? Or before the. what's the
Yeah, we
date?
need to, well, honestly, I was hoping we could get something, a draft
What if
tonight.
we just tell Justin, like, do the boilerplate stuff for us, the lawyers have to agree to it. And then we add our line items that we want to add in addition to the bylaw.
Yes,
And then we tell them the particulars about, we want 9 members, we want 4 of them to be elected. And then whatever terms we as a group want them to stay in. And
Yep.
if we want them staggered or not.
and I
Did
think we
already
also, I
vote
think we
on the
also,
9 members? Question, did we already vote for 9 members?
I think we did, didn't we? Or,
well,
I
if we
mean, I
did it,
think
we
we've all
can.
agreed on it.
I think we did. I don't have the minutes to that meeting in front of me, but I believe we did. If not, we can do it again. And also along with the committee composition and such, I think we also should somehow include what we believe the exemption should be. And
What is the exemption? Is that what we're talking about? The line, what I'm calling a line item that we're adding, or what is the
it
exemption?
would be, there can be up to, there's the
Oh,
four. The
I
4
remember now.
exemptions, and we voted to have 3 of those.
Yep. Yep. Sorry, I forgot about that.
Which includes that $100,000 exemption off the base of your property values.
Yeah.
Does
I'm
everybody
surprised it
understand?
does not, I'm sorry, I'm surprised it does not say the 1, 2, or 3%.
Well, it doesn't, but that's what I think we should include,
Yeah,
Yeah.
that we recommend the 3%.
Let's see if that's in the, let's see. Yeah, you think that would be in there.
You would think so. Is it in the air one?
I don't know. I'll go back and look.
Oh, I'm on there twice. You got me on your screen too.
Yeah, I don't know how to do this. This is my first time sharing like this. I don't see it anywhere in the establishment part. I don't see that anywhere. Wait, no.
You know, what we could do, we could include that one page that we submitted to the Board of Selectmen, resubmit it again.
Yeah, I don't see it in here either.
So do we just tell one of us, talk to Justin and tell him the 3 items we want to put in? And have him, tell him to make that happen, or how do you guys want to do that?
We can
You
do
guys want to
that.
sit and write it? I mean, I'm not sure I can come up with it on the spot right this minute.
What say ye, committee?
Which 3 items are we talking about?
and maybe we
The-
should
4
vote on those 3.
To come up with a percentage that we think, this is mine, and I don't know what your guys' opinion is on it is, but a percentage that we hold back in addition to the 10% that we accrue for larger purchases for cumulative purposes. So like we take 10%, 20%, 25%, and we save it to accumulate for larger things, projects. And then the one where we don't spend any of the money until we have it, we give a full year each year to the application process before any decisions are made. And what was the other one? I'm forgetting now. There was
Well,
another.
one was the 9 members.
Oh, and then not getting anything, yeah, and not getting anything, no loaning business going on. None of this money is going to be borrowed against.
Okay, no loan. Against funds, either current or future.
Yeah,
Right.
that's good. There you go.
I would
Okay.
say current or predicted, since we never know what we're gonna have.
Current or predicted, okay.
I mean, isn't that right? We never know what we're actually gonna get, right?
I mean, you kind of have a sort of projected idea, but I don't think it's something we should count on. And I think that we should treat this differently than other funds in town. And I think this should be treated as if we don't know. And
Because in
with,
pitching this, we've had to tell them, well, so far, every town has gotten this.
right,
That doesn't sound real, confident or concrete that we're gonna get a certain amount. So we can't say future funds because we don't know what future funds are gonna be.
right. And the third round that brings you to 100% brings us to 100% theoretically match. The last 2 years has been not decided by the governor for like months past its regular date that it was done for the previous 20 years or whatever it was since it's existed. So things are different right now and we don't know what's going to happen. And that match process might, so you can't really count on that third round. I don't think we should anyway.
Let me play. I don't think it should either. So current or predicted future revenue.
That sounds good.
On the accumulation of funds, I just want to play devil's advocate on that.
Yeah, we
Is
needed,
Is that in stone that you can't? Because what happens if something comes up and you do not want to hold back an amount because you need it for an important project that year?
so my idea on that, and I mean, this is why I wanted to talk to you guys about it, is like, I don't fully know if my idea works all the way through, but my idea on that is let's just pick numbers. They don't mean anything. Say you set aside 10 units, percentage or thousands of dollars or whatever,
Yeah.
10 units this year, and you set aside 10 units every year. So no matter what you spend this year, you set aside 10 units, and say in 3 years you have 30 units accumulated. Well, that's your big project, is an accumulated. So if you're using it accumulated, if you've got more than 1 year of it, then you can spend that towards you can spend the money you saved from last year. You can spend it the next year. You can accumulate it with another year's savings, but you still have to set aside 10 units for the future year while you spend the 10 units from the last year. I think it's kind of complicated, but I think it's really not complicated. If you always set aside 10 units, you can always spend your accrued 10 units, but you always set aside 10 accrued units.
And which
Or
town did
two
this,
accrued.
Mark?
It's my idea. No, I haven't found it in
Oh.
any other town, but I haven't, I've hit 10 towns max that I've looked at. Not even
Yeah.
that, maybe, I'm not sure.
We could
Well,
run
let's
into the-
let's do this. And then we can continue the discussion or do whatever. What I'd like to do is I'd like to start going through some of these things. And if we get an agreement on them, and first of all, I think the first question we need to answer, and I believe we should have at least a consensus or a majority that believes it, is whether or not we want to basically give the task to Justin to take the boilerplate plus what we're going to go through, put it together, and then present it to the Board of Selectmen, or pass it back to us and we present it to the Board of Selectmen.
Yeah, it's got to get passed back to us.
Yeah. So,
He's just doing the mechanics. That's all we're asking. If
Right.
we do that.
and if we do it, I think we need to meet again next week because I think we're under a bit of a time constraint.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't hold off meeting. I wouldn't hold off waiting to have a meeting. I think we should have it next week, next Monday. What does everybody think of that concept, that way of going forward with this? Are there any objections to it?
Is Justin gonna have time to do it before next week, though? If we throw it at him, is he going to
Well,
be able to get it back to us?
He's
I don't-
just going
I
to
don't know.
copy
I
and
think we-
paste
I
from a
think-
town.
I think we should cross that bridge when we come to it, because if not, I guess Plan B would be for someone like myself or somebody else on the committee to do it. And I don't think, quite honestly, we don't have a background in town articles and such. So I think it's almost, he's got to do it because he's the one that, he's committed to the deadline too. So hopefully after tonight's meetings, some time will free up for him. So assuming he does have time, I think we need to do that. Is there anyone that objects to going in that direction? Or
What's
would
the
add to that?
I mean, we kind of have to, we just have to move forward with it. I think there's a million ways you can do this, but just do whatever works to get it done. I think he has concern, Justin has a concern about, he does not want it to come from his voice. He didn't want it coming from the office of the town manager, which is why he didn't want to draft it. So we're gonna give him kind of a draft, right? He's gonna tweak it with the council or whatever and present it to the, well, then send it back to us, I guess to you, the chair, right? To present to the, to the selectmen. I don't know any other option.
Well, I think we all need to come together one more time to approve the draft
Yeah.
prior to sending it to the selectmen. And what I'm
Yeah.
saying is we need to do that next week, and
Okay.
Monday is, I think, is a preferred day. But I want to make sure that we're all okay with that. So
I
maybe
mean, we could steer him. We could say we like errors, or, I mean, if anybody else has found one that they like. And just put our particulars into their format. But I mean, essentially they're gonna come up with that format anyway. It's like they're pretty standard.
yeah, I think once we go through what we need to go through for those,
Okay.
let's call them chapters for now. I think it's gonna, I think we can, I don't think we need to go by years necessarily. I don't think we need to go by anybody's. I think we can just put them in, one
Yeah, I'm
by
just
one.
grabbing that one arbitrarily.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay, so I'm hearing, I think that we're all okay and going in that direction,
Yeah.
which is to have Justin put it together for us, assemble it for us, and then get back to us. Will everybody be able to be here next Monday?
I can do
Yes.
remote.
Yeah, it'll be remote. It'll be Zoom again.
Okay.
I can
just
be
wanna
here,
make
so
sure-
at this point I can.
Okay, I just want to make sure we're going to have a quorum. Because you guys are like herding cats, quite honestly.
Looks good for me.
Okay, nobody's saying no, they can't be here, right? Okay. All right, so let's get into those particulars. Let's start with the committee itself. I believe that what we've talked about and somewhat agreed on is that we want 9 members, which that pushes the citizen number of members to 4 versus 2. Is that correct? We all agreed on that? Okay, and that we want the terms to be staggered. Now, do we want, I think we pretty much agreed that we want them longer than longer than 1 year. Do we want them to be 3 years or do we want them to be 2 years?
Are you talking about the citizen or the committees?
I don't know. I guess that's open to discussion.
Because they consistently vary from town to town.
Yeah, I'm
between- so-
interested in the variation, like air has, the planning board for 3 years, the conservation commission 1, historic 3, housing 2,
Well,
parks 2.
I think that was just to get them started, to get the staggering, because the
Yeah.
first year, you've got to give them different terms. And once you get, like say the planning was 1, I don't know what it was, but say the planning was 1. Then the next time the planning came up in a year, it'd be a 3-year. So
Oh,
then
yeah, I
you'd
see
have
that in the-
staggered.
Okay, I see that in the paragraph below.
So I guess what I'm asking, the initial terms are gonna have to be staggered that way. But do we want the terms to be, and I guess it is, whether it's certain portions or certain, do we want everyone on the committee to have a 3-year term
I like
staggered?
3 years. I think 3 years staggered makes sense.
Okay, I know that there was some differing of opinions there. Are those differences still?
Well,
In
I was
play?
wanting the mandatory ones from committees to be shorter so that the public could have more of an influence on getting somebody out. If you have all the standard people, and they're the same old people that are already running town, the nature of them already being part of the same old, sorry to use the same tired language, but so if they're shorter terms, that gives the population that's not the same old ability to go to their meetings and say, hey, can you elect a different guy this time? Because that guy keeps voting for what Mr. Ward wants, and we're tired of the Floridians telling us what to do.
So maybe the compromise is too, because, running for an elected seat, so you have to be elected, right?
The citizens, I'm talking about the
Citizens now?
mandatory ones.
Right, the
citizen
mandatory.
seats, yeah,
Okay,
the mandatory ones are elected from each committee within each
from each committee, like we are
Are-
now. My committee said, anybody want to do CPA and,
I think they
whatever.
should be short. I have no opinion on the elected citizens. I think you're probably, I'm going to defer to you on that the elected citizens should be longer.
Okay, so we'll say the citizens are 3. All right, I think we can all agree on that. Now,
I would say committee members, 3. I don't know about citizens, 3, but yeah, go ahead. We're just gonna make a decision and move forward.
okay, so we've got 2 groups. One is the citizens, which are gonna be, there's gonna be 4. And then there's 5 that are selected from their various boards or committees, conservation, historic, housing, etc. Do we want those folks to be less than 3?
I say all 3, keep it simple, move forward.
All right, well, I'll just defer to Mary on this one because I don't have quite the experience she has on these sorts of things at all. So I'm really.
No, I
Okay, as
don't.
I
It's
was
just an
going
opinion.
through them, Mark, as I was
What's
going
that?
through them, Mark, too, is they're not like, some of them may be elected, but they're not all elected. Some are appointed too, so I think we'd
Well,
get too
by
granular.
they're appointed by each committee or commission.
No, I'm even talking about the commissions. Are all the commissions elected?
I think that I forget what the language said on that.
No,
It's in the
I know
CPA
recreation
law.
is just
Oh, you
appointed.
mean how they get? I'm sorry, you mean
Yeah.
how they get there to begin with? Sorry, I didn't mean to
Yeah.
cut you off.
No, it's okay. So,
Historic commission is appointed.
all right, I don't want to rush this along, but I heard that Mark is going to defer and we're going to go with 3 years for all of them.
I think that's good because 3 years for all of them. And we just have to have a mechanism in place where if somebody decides they don't want to do it anymore, we can change that person out pretty easily.
Most
And,
of these towns have a line item for that situation, Kyle.
Okay,
I'm not sure if it
because
was in the
once
one I was showing, but most of them have it.
3 years may seem to the people as a long time, but we need to, make sure we let them know that once this thing's in place and once it's established, there's going to be very little work for that committee to do throughout the year. I mean, there's going to be submission time and then you're talking 5 different boards, or whatever. It's not like crunching things like we're doing here. It's going to be easy, just applications, yay or nay. It's not going to be difficult to be on this CPA committee, so 3 years may seem like a big commitment, but time-wise, it's really not going to be. Your name will be on a attendance roster somewhere or an appointed board somewhere, but really, you're not going to go to meetings every week and, putting all this time into it. So 3 years sounds good. As long as we just, let them know it's 3 years, but it's not that much of a commitment, honestly.
And I think the belts and suspenders are the checks and balances, it's got to go past town election. So it's got to go through a town vote as far as the money goes. So it's not, I don't think it's same old. I think the funding and the retention and the disbursement is a lot different than what is currently happening in town government.
Right, a lot more, a
Okay.
little more crunching, but you know, we can always amend it. We can find out, you know, 3 years aren't working. We can amend this down the line, so.
That is a line item in one of the towns or a couple of the towns I saw that it's amendable by town meeting. That the town bylaw is amendable by town meeting. That's a real common one that I like.
We put that in there. So I think we all agree that it should be amendable, right? I'm not putting words in people's mouths.
I agree.
So is that amendable in the first 5 years that it's mandatory? Is that in the language? Do you know, Mark? Or is the first 5 years set in stone and then after that you can?
No,
it's
that's
malleable?
the 5 years, that's a CPA Act part. That what's amendable is the bylaw itself that the town comes up with.
Okay,
Nothing in the CPA Act is amendable.
all right.
You can withdraw from the CPA after 5 years. Is that correct?
Yeah,
By a vote? I think you're committed for 5 years, I think.
Right,
Yeah,
that's
I'm
what
pretty
I
sure that's-
understand. I just wonder if the whole thing, including everything, bylaws and everything was like set in stone for 5 years and after that it was malleable. If that was what we were saying, or,
Yeah,
you know,
okay.
if it's just being locked into it and during that 5 years, you can amend it and subtract and add and whatever.
no, you can, I think the language I saw was like into perpetuity, you can amend the bylaw, the town's bylaw.
So as long as you have adopted a CPA proper, you can do what you want with it.
With
To a
your
degree.
bylaw, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
The stuff we're talking about right now. Like how many
Like the
people you
terms
have.
and that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, the next next item, I think, that was discussed and that we should determine is, should there be an accumulation of funds year to year that are set
So-
aside, accumulation set aside?
If somebody's not for my idea on that, the reason I want to put it in there, even if we put a little bit of amount, is that I think it's a good way to set the paradigm. That when the CPC forms, even if it's a small amount that you accrue every year, it sets the paradigm and the idea that that's how we're going to approach this thing. We're going to save up for bigger projects. I mean, you could take care of the little ones, but you need to save up for the big ones, and you need to go slow and be adults, not like kids on Christmas or at a candy store with it, you know?
And I think
And
if you kind of define it almost like a stabilization fund.
those are terms I don't understand, so I'll have to.
Stabilization fund is money that's put aside each year in the budget if it's available to accrue for future emergencies or projects or whatever. Just to set aside. I think it's almost like what you're saying,
Huh,
that it builds. It
so
just,
can you have a mandatory stabilization fund where you mandatorily put this much from this thing into it?
if it's available, I think on stabilization. I think stabilization funds get put in at the end of the fiscal year. If there's funds available. You know, you can either spend those funds or put them in stabilization. I'm not sure if there's a mandatory.
Yeah, we have to be careful with the wording of that one if we want to get this passed, because it's kind of not the same, but it's kind of like giving a kid an allowance and telling them how they have to spend it. You know, we can't say, oh, well, we
Well,
get you this money,
it's not how you spend it though.
but when,
It's when. But
just so you have to be
but it's
careful. 'Cause-
also, but if you don't do it, you're saying that if the first CPC round of people wants to blow it all in one place, they can, and then, or blow it all on a whole bunch of projects in the first year or two, then the next year they don't have anything accrued. And like when I talked to Monson, Leslie, they accrued a lot, and that's most of what they've done that's been significant. That's a selling point. They did because they accrued.
Mark, did they have that in their bylaw, or did the committee decide to do that?
The chair of that committee and the person that helps get it elected in that town, get the act adopted, she steered it that way, and her committee helped her steer it that way.
Was it in the bylaw though?
I don't think so, and I can't remember. I'm sure I looked at their town. I can't remember what their bylaw looked like. I'm pretty sure I looked theirs up though.
I'm all for that on its face. I just think that, you're appointing these different people from different boards, and the different boards are the experts on what they need, not the CPA, so. CPA is kind of the babysitters of the money and overall, but the people on the boards are the subject matter experts on what that board needs. So I just think we need to make sure that we don't handcuff them. And if we expect to get this passed, is what I'm saying. That's basically what we need to strive for right now, is just getting the thing passed initially. We need to make sure we don't
Yeah.
act like we're too in control of it, that we're not going to let them do what they need to do.
Well,
if we get
I
everybody
personally
on
have
board.
neighbors. I have neighbors that I know are against it, and a selling point that could tip them would be that it's going to be done slowly, and that there's going to be a certain amount set aside, that somebody can't just blow it all without being smart. Even if
Well,
it's
there's
just a
going to be
little bit.
oversight, so there's going to be plenty of oversight.
Yeah,
There's gonna be 9 people on the board that are gonna, I mean, I think that being fiscally responsible would be one of the boards of the 9 people to be aware of. I don't know if we have to get so detailed with if there's already a set aside fund. That we
Well,
have
our
to
town's
add
not
more to
fiscally
it.
responsible. We have sitting on our
Well, this is
capital
a
planning.
different board that has the checks and balances. It has to be voted
But-
at town meeting. It can't
Yeah,
just
but-
be spent.
I mean, for example, we have a sitting person on the capital plan committee right now, who, when they were chair of the BOS, put $250,000 into our working budget that has not come to town yet for taxes on a pot farm and a solar field. Those businesses haven't even broken ground yet, and we're talking years later. And he counted that money. So if we have that kind of thing going in town, like, there's checks and balances for him,
Come on,
but
let's
they
go
didn't
inside.
matter. They cost our manager, Justin had to spend months to fix that debacle. And that cost our town a lot of money to count 250, so there's checks and balances all over the place, but trust me, this town has a way of screwing it up. So I think if we set the paradigm that, you know what I mean?
Well, why don't
Like-
I'm for.
We can mull this till next week. That idea, right?
Well, I think we should have it all included
Okay.
or not.
Okay.
And I'm for it on the surface.
I-
I understand what you're saying. I also understand what the other members are saying. And I could go either way, but I think I think I'm leaning towards, and this is just my opinion, not as a chair or anything, but just, I think I'm leaning towards leaving it out. And if there's some way when we present this at the special town meeting, that we put in there that, it would be good, it would be advantageous to set some money aside, that the committee set some money aside.
You could, if you're gonna do it just by ambiguous I don't know if ambiguous is the right word, but nebulous language like that, the place to do that is in that paragraph I showed before, where people say that the committee shall research and determine this and that. That would be the paragraph in which to place that language, if that's the way you're going to go about it. That's somewhere where I saw people had a little bit of varying in tone. They said the same things, but they had different tones about what it's the main line item about what, I don't know if that's the right word, but the main chapter about what the board's
So
mandate
how
is.
about if we put it in the article or in the bylaw, and I don't know if we can, legal will tell us this, that that it's recommended that the committee put aside.
Well, you
maybe
can say that
5%.
the committee shall put aside 5%, or, I mean, you could say it more if you're on the fence about putting a hard number. maybe there is a nebulous way to say it that would set a paradigm.
Well, I think you should
Committee.
put it in as like a minimum of 5%.
Yeah,
And I don't know if there'd be exceptions to that or not.
Yeah, I like where you're going with this, Mark. I think that like even though no other town, maybe other towns haven't done it before, and I'd be curious to hear the CPA organization's like thoughts on what, you know, what is good and bad about the idea. I think from a tonal perspective, like setting the approach as this program is about investment and it's not a piggy bank is really valuable. And I like that a lot.
So how about this? How about we put it in and we put it in as part of the bylaw that the committee shall put aside. And I would say I'd say we put in the language, a minimum of 5%.
okay. Could we also say that in determinations that lean towards savings, you could just say that they, in their thinking, they shall lean towards saving over spending, maybe in that same sentence, to a minimum of 5%. I don't know. Maybe you have an idea on that, Adam
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
or David.
Ironically,
Anybody?
I think the saving, I think that emphasis would, at least to me, play much better a year ago than it does today with inflation where it is, right? Like putting cash in the bank right now is just losing money. So I do like the investment language, but I would be wary of just holding money for money's sake. I think couching in the language of like big projects are going to come up and we want to be able to pay for those even though we haven't foreseen them.
Well,
That-
that's my idea. That's the reasoning. Yeah.
Yeah, that I like that a lot.
okay.
Yeah.
If the other members agree, because we should do this at least as a majority, if the other members agree that we should set aside some monies for, I guess, future investment or for unforeseen,
For
Um,
accumulation is,
Yeah.
yeah, could either Adam or Mark, or if anybody else wants to do it, put that into a couple of sentences. And I will include that as one of the points that we give to the town manager to go
Yeah.
through
can you
with
do that,
legal.
Adam?
Yeah.
I like really have no time in this next few weeks.
Well, can I ask a
Yeah.
question?
For sure.
Yep,
Are we basically setting a minimum?
setting a
We're setting a minimum
minimum.
that we can't let it get below?
A minimum amount that we accrue for accrual purposes.
Do
Now,
we
is all
want
this
that?
gonna, is all this gonna be on the language for at town vote to get the CPA approved? Is all this gonna be in that language?
It'll be
It'll
in the
be
bylaw
boiled-
In
part.
that warrant?
It'll be boiled down to a sentence or two, but it would be in the bylaw language.
I just keep getting the feeling if we're gonna have a hard time getting this passed. That I have no doubt we're fighting an uphill battle. If we tell people this is gonna benefit the town, but we're gonna tell you how to spend it. I think we're adding language that's gonna turn people off because like it or not, I would say the majority of people say, what does this do for me? Not what does this do for the town? If you're raising my taxes, my real estate, what's this gonna do for me? You say, well, it's gonna do nothing for you for the first year. We're gonna tell you, we're gonna make you accumulate this. We're gonna make sure you're smart about your money and we're not gonna let you be stupid with the money. They're gonna say, well, that doesn't benefit me in any way. You know, I'm just saying, I think it's smart. Yeah, granted, I'm trying to think in terms of what we need to say to get this passed. And unfortunately, there's some people in this town who don't think long-term. They don't think about the town. They think you're raising my taxes. No, I'm out. You know, so we start saying, we want this passed. It's going to benefit you. It will benefit you. We promise, but we're going to tell you how to do it. We're going to tell you how much you have to save before you can do it. And we're going to regulate it in all these ways. I think we're handcuffing ourselves. I don't know.
I hear what you're saying, but that's not how I hear it, and that's not how I believe the people I know in Winchendon are going to hear it. The people I know like are thinking about this. A lot of people I know are really against this thing and are going to go out to vote against it. And when they hear that language, they're going to hear, oh, it's not going to be the same old, there's breaks on the thing.
But unfortunately, Mark, a lot of people are going to vote against it based on what you say, what you personally have been saying. I mean, you're obviously jaded against the town and the way the town spends money. So you come at it with a certain,
If I was
jaded
jaded against the town, do you
look.
think I would volunteer for doing this?
no, because it seems to me you're more of an adversary than an advocate in a lot of cases for this.
I think shares the opinion of a lot who don't share their opinions, but it's good to have that voice. But I hear what you're saying. I don't trust, there's a balance here between, do we control too much, or do we show that this money is not going to be abused and misappropriated? It's not going to go into the general fund and we'll still have shitty roads. It's just at a 3% surcharge with the fire station and everything going up, I just,
Yeah, it's going to be a fight.
So, if I could say something, just came from the Recreation Commission meeting as well. And I presented this to the rest of the committee members. A couple of them are taxpayers, homeowners, things like that as well. What really perked them up on the plus side was that when this project goes to the CPA, and then the CPA says this is something that we think should go to the town vote, and then the town actually votes to say this is the project they want to do. That's where the control is. I think that the taxpayers need to know that they do have a say in something, and I think that's the part that should be highlighted in saying that this is where we're going to see it actually benefit us. So
Yeah,
they were very happy that part.
It's a good selling point.
And
So,
I think that needs to be presented to the community like that too.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
it
can we do
completely
this?
turned it around. It completely turned around the whole aspect of their taxes going up, for the whole year, less than one grocery trip. And then, they have say, and then they get to see these projects happening and they vote on it themselves, not a cliquey group of people. The actual town votes on it.
Yeah.
Okay, we're kind of
So
at
if
a
we do,
stalemate here.
just real quick, like, regardless of what your position is on it, if we do that, this is where I propose language be in this chapter 2 duties. Can you see my screen?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so that would be
Yep.
the paragraph that every town seems to have, where the committee shall study the needs, possibilities. That's the paragraph that kind of sets the tone of what the committee is to do. I think that if we do it, that's where the sentence should be in that paragraph. And this does vary from town to town. So they all have their equivalent of that paragraph. So
This is
just
paragraph 2 you're talking about?
Yeah, the duties one.
Where are you at? Where are you at now, Mark?
I just went back to air because we've been on that one. And this is in the bylaw part of theirs. Just mechanically, that's kind of the area that I would think that sentence would go. And then, scrolling down would be where we put that we're not going to do loans on it, that language. And then you also have, that's where you have things like, here's that amendment we were talking about. The bylaw may be amended from time to time by a majority vote of town meeting. Like that.
Go back up. Wouldn't you put it in the paragraph where you're saying what, the 10% number 4? Like, wouldn't you put it in that paragraph instead of the duties? Like if you were gonna.
Oh,
hold
yeah,
back
maybe.
10%?
If it's going to be nebulous, then I think put it in the first one. If it's going to be a hard number, then put it in number 4.
Right.
How nebulous can it
yeah.
be?
Well, if you say nebulous, like if you're going to say, if we don't say there's a minimum, if we just say that they're going to lean towards accruing whenever possible as a, direction. If we say that, it should go in the first one. But yeah, 4 would be great if you're going to say the number. Yeah.
What are we gonna do, guys?
I vote for 10%. I think Kyle votes against it, and I don't know what anybody else. I think you're voting for 5, David. I don't know.
I don't vote against it. I'm just offering my opinion. I mean, I don't know. It's a crapshoot what we're going to get anyway in terms of approvals. And
So, in terms of that 10%, essentially, but it's mandated that 10% goes to the historic open space and was it conservation?
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
various amounts for,
The three, and
various
then there's
groups, yeah.
the rest, the large amount there's a 70% remaining. So of that
Yeah.
70, and those 10%, by the way, were at least, so they could go to 20%. You know, each of those
Yep.
committees could get 20%. And then you have, 60, then you have another 40. But you're saying to put out of the 70, we put 10% away.
I don't think that was ever discussed like that, but I like that idea.
Yeah,
Well, that's what I thought you meant.
that's kind of what I meant. I mean, I wasn't getting that nuance, but yeah, that works. I like that. I think we need to keep in mind that this is kind of a side issue, but the 10% going towards the open space, historic and community housing, like they can use that for individual applicants. Like, that 10% isn't locked into a specific thing. It's locked into that general use.
It goes
Yes,
to historic. Yeah.
Yeah.
But when can you use it if you have to save it?
So you can use it once it's accrued. So you can use it next year. You can take this year's and the next year's and use it in the third year's.
But can you go down to zero the third year?
Every
But
year
you
you
have
have
to
to,
stay
every
10%.
year you have to save. But you could save for 5 years and spend 5 years,
40%.
4 years worth. And yeah, right.
well, do they have to save 10% of their 10% or 10% of the
No,
total,
10% of the 70, like Mary was saying.
which is outside of
Yeah,
those specific areas?
yeah.
So basically, you're setting a bottom of 10% that they always have to have in their fund.
Just to accrue for next year. And it can be
Of the-
spent next year, or it can be spent 3 years from now. If you
Of the
accrue it.
generic fund or of each of the,
Well, Mary was saying of the generic fund, and I think
yeah,
that's
because if you look
a
at it
fine way
like
to
a
go.
pie chart and the biggest
Yeah.
piece of the pie is a generic.
I mean, my
Right.
main thing about this is if we're going to go as small as 10%, I think the main thing is just to set the paradigm. I think it's a tool to set the paradigm that we're leaning towards savings, and so I think it doesn't really matter at that point.
Don't we
I like
already
what-
have to set 10% aside for those three? Isn't that part of the
Those
rules?
things,
Let's set those aside. Those are their own.
yeah,
And then we have the generic fund, which is 70%, I believe, could, whatever.
Or
And maybe,
60%.
60%, because there's 4.
okay, there's 4, so 60%. And out of that 60%, we save 10% per year.
yeah,
That sits a little bit better with me.
Yeah, I like
that's
that too.
fine. I like that.
Yeah, I like that coming out of the like quote unquote general fund before it gets parceled out to the individual committee allocations, because the one thing here that gives me some pause is I would hope that we would avoid any feeling of like, oh, the savings last year came from money that would have gone to the historic preservation committee because they didn't have any projects. So the money that we saved should sort of be earmarked for historic committee projects next year, but taking it out of the general fund before it is split into the different departments, I think simplifies that quite a bit, which is nice.
Well, I think it'd be after. You give each of the 4 their percentage, and
Yeah,
then you have the leftover, the generic. And you
well,
take
the issue is
10% out.
that the issue is that giving the 4 there, that's a minimum of 10%, right? So of your total
Right.
pie, it could be 25, 25, 25, 25. If there's lots of projects from each of the 4, or 20% to each of the 5 categories, then there's nothing left over for the savings. You know what
Well,
I mean?
that's, I think that I think Kyle had a valid point when he said, you're giving these people an allowance, but then you're telling them what they need to spend it on.
When to
So
spend it.
those 4 specifics, or when to, actually, you're right, when to spend it, not what to spend it on.
Well, you are telling them a little bit what you're saying. It has to be, you're spending it on bigger projects, because whatever you accrue, you're accruing it to spend on
Well, what if you had a
some-
whole lot of little projects the following year?
Well, that's fine. You spend all your little projects, but you still save the 10% to accrue for bigger projects.
Yeah.
I mean, most towns, the way they use this is they accrue it. Like, it's, I mean, I keep going back to Monson, like she couldn't point this out any more than she did. Like, they accrued money to buy land, to create a park in town, to do this, to do that. They sat on money in order to build it up, to do larger projects. And she was adamant that that was a large part of this, was that the large part of the value of this was what they accrued to do. I mean, of course, like somebody wants to fix up a little trail, it's going to cost a couple of grand. Like, yeah, you're still going to meter those out. But like buying a community land to put a dog park on or something, that's just an example. Those kind of funds come from accruing, and a lot of towns do this anyway. All we're doing is enunciating that that's kind of the vibe we're going to have. So we're setting it in stone for a town that already tries to squeeze everything into the existing capital plan that like 3 people determine. We're just setting that idea in stone.
Yeah.
And we're just barely setting it in stone. 10% is nothing. That's the whole idea of their putting 10% towards those 4 areas like community housing. They're trying to set the tone that you gotta at least give a little bit to each of the groups. You can't just squeeze one out. It's the same idea. You can't, we're still saying you can spend on the little projects, but you gotta give some credence to the bigger projects that you accrue for.
Yeah.
But
That's
it's not
fine, and that
taking money
sounds
away
great,
from
but
anybody.
what if certain boards don't have any big projects? They're not the type of, board or committee that
There's-
has big projects.
Then they're
Save it.
gonna eat it, they can eat it up with little projects, or they can save their money. Like,
Okay,
it's still, yeah.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying though, but I think there's an answer for that, I think.
okay.
I think there's some language in there too, but I just don't know how to get to it. But didn't we, Adam, you were gonna try to put something together?
Yeah. I have
Language
that.
goes.
Minutes.
Okay, can we agree
Yeah, let's pause on that one.
that we let Adam put together the language? And I give that language as part of what we're given to Justin. And what comes back next week, or what comes back that we review next week. We
Yeah.
get through it one way
So
or,
You talking
Go
about
ahead,
Adam
Paul.
presenting that to Justin tonight at at the Board of Selectmen meeting that we're headed to? That quickly?
No, he's,
no. What I'm
I
gonna
believe Adam
do
and
is,
I are going to that meeting tonight, right, Adam?
Yep.
Okay.
So we'll have to move pretty soon.
so that we'll present, we'll give Justin the assignment of putting together the article and bylaw.
When
And
will
we
we
will
give Justin
specify
this?
to him some of the particulars that we want. So what
When-
we want so far is we want the composition of the committee to be 9 members, staggered, 3-year terms, with total of 9, 4 of those being citizens. Next, we're going to give to him the next item that we're going to ask that be included in the article / bylaw is that we're going to set us, we're going to, the committee will set us, the bylaw will set aside 10% of funds to be accumulated year over year, being able to spend after the first year, something like that. Adam's going to put that together. And then
And then-
the next item on there is that there's going to be no loans against the funds, either current or predicted future funds. And then the 4th item is going to be the exemptions that we have put in. We're going to accept 3 of the 4 exemptions with 100% limit or 100% exemption, $100,000 exemption on property values. The first first $100,000 on your property value is gonna be exempted. And we're going to not do what number 3 was. I can't remember what that was, but that was commercial exemption or something.
What about,
And then the last thing is we're gonna say that we want the bylaw to be amendable.
what about not spending it the first year until the end of the year?
Any of it the first year?
Yeah,
Until
or
the end
until
of
you
the
get the, until you get the money. Don't
Oh, yeah,
allocate
that
it.
would be like a
Don't
loan
allocate-
against
don't-
it.
Don't allocate it until you have the money in hand. So the town meeting's not gonna vote on where to spend it until the town meeting has the money to spend.
Wouldn't that be the same as the loan against it?
No, I think it's different because Justin's talking about borrowing because it's cheaper, than the rates and stuff to borrow and spend it now than the inflation and stuff. And that can actually be argued, but that's different than saying we wait a whole year until we have the money in hand to allocate it. Because you can say we think we're gonna have 100 grand and then we're gonna decide which ones, we'll vote on which ones to fund yet. I think we should vote at town meeting on which projects to fund after we have the money in hand.
Yeah, and I think that I get what you're saying now. So we wait a whole season, so we actually have the money and we have a plan
Right.
before we
And then-
start putting plans together.
So there's
Yeah,
no
and-
like guesstimate. Yeah.
And then you also, the other thing about that is you don't have people that are all prepared to jump on this thing, which people are probably already prepared to jump on. Jumping on it right now and then not giving other people that haven't had a chance to have a year to go through the application process and figure out a project for this.
Can we make it as simple as you don't vote on projects until you have the money for those projects?
Yeah,
Okay,
I mean, that does the same thing, right?
I hope so.
I'm on board with that.
So don't vote on projects until money's available.
Okay,
Well, I had a question going back to the members of the
And that
committee.
would, I would include that with the loan. Bullet. Okay, I'm done. Somebody was saying something?
Yeah, so going back to the members on the committee and their terms. So for folks who are on other committees, like conservation or finance or recreation, like my term ends this year coming up. Would you want to have the terms of the CPA to be co-termed the same way? And then they have to get renewed? Or are you
I would
gonna
ass-
have them stagger off of one board? What if I resign from a board? Do I then have to resign from the CPA?
I would assume if you were selected by your commission or board or committee to serve on this, on the CPA committee, then that would be contingent upon you being on that board, commission, or committee.
I feel like I saw on one town's that they had an item for that covered that, I'm pretty sure. And it
So
was
I
like
will
a
put, I will
1 or
put
2
in there,
sentence deal.
I think that makes, if everybody agrees, it makes sense to me that the members that are there serving because they're on some other board, that their
Active.
their membership on the CPA committee is contingent upon them being on their board.
Yeah, that
Right,
makes
That
sense.
Does that make sense? Does everybody agree on that?
Well, that's pretty much common sense because it's a requirement to
Yeah.
have those people from those boards on. And if you lose one, you have to replace it with somebody from that board.
Right.
Right, so that's why I was
Yeah.
thinking that the terms should be different for like a standing citizen versus a board member.
I don't understand that.
Like earlier you were discussing like, what do you want to do? 1 year, 2 year, 3 year type of terms? I think.
Right,
those
and we
would be-
decided to do 3-year for all.
Yeah.
But if
Is
if
that-
you're on a board and you.
It could be
you either
less.
Your term, yeah, your term is
Yeah.
up or you resign or whatever, then you automatically lose that. And the person being selected next would fill the rest of that term.
Okay, just want to make sure that was clear, that it
Yeah.
was, like you said, contingent.
Because that person may be reappointed, and they, most times they are probably appointed by the boards. So they
If
could.
they
continue-
resign or something like
And
that.
then the board has to replace it.
Yeah.
Yeah. There, I'm pretty sure I saw somebody had a chapter on that.
Yeah, that's usually written into any other
Yeah.
language anyways. That's,
There should be some language in there that the board has to, at their next meeting where they have a quorum, vote on a member, some language like that.
Yeah.
For the boards.
So along those lines, typically those positions are appointed by the BOS, and I've been touting my idea that actually, it wasn't my idea, I got it from one of the BOS members, but that instead of being appointed, that the citizen seats are elected. What do you guys think of that?
oh, definitely.
Okay,
For
Oh,
something
that's
this
me. That's
big,
my
yes.
opinion.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't think the board of
Yeah,
selectmen ought to appoint them. So we'll make sure that, well, does everybody agree on that? That the citizens ones should be elected, not assigned?
Yes, I
do.
think that's a good idea rather than any political appointees.
Well, the only thing about that is elected by who and how would you call a vote?
that's what I was wondering, is who and how. That's exactly what
The
made me.
town meeting's only once a year, and what other board would vote on it? You
Oh,
have to have a special town meeting, which costs what, $4,000 we determined or something?
yeah, we don't want to
Yeah.
do that. Well, how about this? The person is elected. And if for whatever reason they can't serve out their term, and there's not an election coming up, then it's appointed by,
Then it's
Who would you-
appointed.
appointed by who do you believe should be the appointer? Should it be the town manager? Should it be the town moderator? Or should it be the board of selectmen?
I think I've seen language where people have done that, where it's, if the person is leaving, they appoint the person to replace them. Or is that dangerous?
If,
I mean, because
If-
they were elected, they could find their replacement, or does that make sense? Maybe
It's
that's
invite
bad.
nepotism or something like that.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
That's a tough one. We'd have to give a time frame. So like if a meeting is not coming up within 90 days, then we defer to this other appointment
Well,
process.
why don't we make it simpler and just defer to that other person, and then at the next town election,
At the
I
next
don't-
town election, they're voted on.
yeah,
Yeah, and terms could last until the closest town meeting, so that it just happens at a town meeting that's already happening anyway.
Why don't we do this? Why don't we have the CPA elect their new member? And then if they work out, they can vote to keep them at town meeting, or they can vote to not keep them at town meeting.
that
You're
works.
talking about,
Like an
you're talking about
interim?
replacements. Okay,
Like
Because the CPA
interim.
is gonna have certain members and they can elect their own, vote on their own citizen to come on board. And then by the next vote, they can say, all right, he's working out or he's not working out. Let's go ahead and have an election.
That
Does
works
that
for me.
sound
Okay.
plausible?
so I got another one. If we're done with that, I keep forgetting this, so I don't want to spit it out, sorry. But it became clear to me that it's imperative that the CPA volunteer and the board people cannot do the management that's required for the CPA Act. Like, you have to hire somebody. Like, that's what I've found in my research, is that there's no way you can do the paperwork as a committee and volunteer basis. Like, you need a professional that's dedicated and paid to do it.
Is that
And-
5% set
Yeah,
aside for
and it's paid
administration?
for in that 5%. So I'm wondering, it's kind of unspoken. I haven't seen anybody yet that spells it out, that you hire somebody and who hires them. But should we put that in there, that the CPC committee has final say on who's hired and that they're the boss?
I
not
would,
not the
Yes.
town manager?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, the CPA does the hiring and they're the ones that administer.
So I think we should enunciate that in one of the duty items of the CPC committee. Or
Yeah, I'll just put it down
however you
as
say
a bullet right now.
it. Okay.
to Get it through.
I have a question probably for Mark, since you've done the most reading on this and research. Maybe anybody else can answer it, but does the CPA proper have its own funding source of any kind in case they need funds for some reason? I'm thinking maybe town council or some kind of legal situation they get in, because I think every board has their own little fund, don't they? I know conservation does, we do. I know recreation has a fund. Is the CPA
I
gonna
don't-
have a fund from somewhere that's gonna be like a little nest egg they have in case they need it? Is
I'm
there
not
any-
sure
think
about
that
that, but
That would be
Is
this
this-
5%, wouldn't it?
I think it would cover the 5%, but also as far as legal advice, there's always on call. One of the state attorneys is always on call to answer questions for the CPA
Yeah,
committees.
okay, I do remember you saying that. I was just
But
wondering
that's
if
as
they had
far
any
as-
kind of fund they're
That's
sitting
as-
on to.
That's as far as advice, though. I don't know if you're talking about actual litigation or anything. I don't know. That's a different issue. I don't know.
I'm not, maybe not even go legal, just anything they may need. Do they have any kind of funding of any type?
And
Or
I
just-
think to keep
or
it
just
out,
they
I
don't
think,
need it?
I think to keep it out of the town budget, which is what this whole thing's all about, is keeping it away from the town budget. That would be what that 5% administration.
Yeah, yeah.
Because if not, it would have to be a line item on the budget and that would make it political and
Yep, there you, yeah.
okay.
Did we
So
cover
let
it
me
all?
let me go through one more time what I'm gonna assign Justin to do. Put together the article, drafted the article, and also the bylaw under it, accompanying it. And the first would be the term, well, the first is the committee composition. 9 members, 4 of them to be citizen members, to be elected at town meeting. Serve 3-year staggered terms for all 9 members. If a citizen resigns or what have you from the committee, then that person's seat will be elected, will be assigned by the other members of the CPC. If the member leaves the committee and is one of the appointed by. I'm not sure I understand. Get away from me. By commission, whatever, the new person will be assigned by that commission to serve out the term. Going to have language to accumulate, set aside money for an ongoing reserve type fund or frugality fund, whatever you want to call it. And Adam's going to put together that language. There will be no loans against current or expected future funds in the language, and that there will be no vote on projects until the funds are available for that project. We'll vote on it. We're going to vote on it now, hoping to get funding on it. It's going to have to wait to be voted on until those funds are either available or not. We've put together the exemptions and we've gone through them and those will be presented and be included. And the final thing is that we're going to include the 5% administrative portion to be out of that the funds that we get to be used for any resources that are needed by the committee. Did I get it all?
I think that last one's within the Mass General Law, isn't it?
Well, you can either have it or not. I don't think you need to
I
have
think
it.
you were talking about that we're gonna, that the CPC or CPA, whatever it's called, hires a person out of that.
The administrative personnel.
Yeah, I think that they should have the yay or nay on hiring or firing. The final say on who's hired or fired for that position.
Okay. Okay.
Do you know if the
That
CPC
person-
is gonna have an office at town hall?
I don't know, the way I think it worked was in Monson, I believe, and I can't concretely say this, that person worked part-time out of town hall, and I'm not sure about the town hall part. I know that they worked part-time.
Because they're gonna need, if that's the case, they will need like printer, toner, all that stuff, just.
Yeah,
basic
that's
office supplies.
that's out of that 5%. I don't think that they
Alright.
need to work in town hall. I think that they can do it. It can be a work from home position. But obviously they're gonna have office expenses.
You know how this town goes, they may combine. I mean, now we have a recreation person sitting in town hall. You
Well, I
know,
don't think,
dual roles, but
but they can't because this person, I mean, I guess the person can do whatever they want on their other part-time.
I mean, it's a paid position now.
Yeah,
Recreation was all volunteers initially. Now there's a paid,
yeah, and it's,
uh,
how's that working out?
I don't know. My wife deals with that. I guess fine. I'm just saying money. I guess that's my question was, you know, do they have any kind of money or available? Because I know I can only speak for conservation, which I'm on, and you know, we've needed ink cartridges and paper, whatever, just basic stuff, you know.
Yeah.
That's what I was saying.
Be
Do they
that-
have any kind of little fund they sit on that they can use or draw from? Because
It'll
ours
be
is
that-
constantly replenishing from, you know, applications. Is there an application
Yeah.
fee for CPA, and does that go into the fund for CPC, you know, and
I
where does
think,
the application fee go?
there's-
Because there must be an application fee. or
I don't
something
think
like
there's
that.
I don't think there's application fees.
well, I
No,
think that's up to the committee once they get established to.
Okay.
I
would
think, I think that's totally antithetical to the whole gist of the CPA. Like, for an example, like this doesn't apply to our town so much, but like Justin was talking about at the last meeting, there's towns where there's an old couple that owns a historic building and they can't afford to fix it up, but it has to be done to certain code to fit within the town historic appearances and stuff. That couple can't be asked to have to pay to apply. Like that would be, if they can afford to apply for something, then maybe they could just afford to comply with the with the historical standards in the first
yeah, you know,
place.
to a degree, but if you're doing like a $3,000 project and it costs $50 to apply, you know, you're not out $5,000.
But this is a community preservation. Like, look at the first page of the website. Like, asking
I'm
people
not
to
advocating
pay
charging
to
them, Mark. I'm
apply.
just saying,
Yeah.
I'm not advocating charging them. I'm
Okay.
just trying to cover all the angles, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I think it's a free to play. You can go apply
Okay,
to the
well,
committee. You
that's
can go
fine,
talk
yeah.
to the committee in the public forum.
I mean, if well, you said they've got a paid attorney on call all the time if we even adopt it, so we won't need town council, so
Yeah.
that won't need to be paid, so yeah. Well,
Yeah.
if we don't need to charge them to apply, that's good. That'll help in the getting it approved at town vote.
all right. How are we all feeling?
Good.
So
So Andrew, are you
Monday,
comfortable with what you need to present tonight? Because we probably ought to hash that out here. I mean, Adam, sorry.
Yeah, I talked to Justin a little bit earlier and he said we were mostly going to help answer any questions people had.
Okay.
So he said we didn't need to have any slides prepared or anything like that, which was good. I've got to run over there shortly.
Because I'm going to sit behind you, just so you know.
Sounds good.
You'll be in the
All
front
right.
at the microphone.
We probably ought to let you guys go.
All right. Well, Justin's going to text us when he needs us.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'd, if anyone doesn't have anything else,
Do we need to take a vote tonight? We do, don't we? To allow you to submit to Justin?
why don't we do that? I'd entertain a motion for that.
I motion
Anybody?
that what David outlined, we task Justin with nuts and bolts of, that we do that. I don't know how to make a
Okay.
motion.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Roll call
Aye.
vote since we're Zoom.
Roll call vote. Jesus, I'm getting tired, I think. Mark,
Aye.
Mary,
Aye.
Amanda,
Aye.
Adam,
Aye.
Kyle,
Aye.
Deb,
Aye.
and I vote aye, so it's unanimous. Okay. The next item that we have to resolve is we're going to meet next Monday.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, is everybody? Okay, I think we're all set. I don't think we need a motion for that. Next Monday, 6:30 works for everyone, I assume.
Yes.
Okay. That means I'm gonna miss open mic down at the beach, but that's okay. Don't worry about that. And what was the third thing I was thinking? Do we have anything else to discuss or should we adjourn?
Is this a public board? Meaning,
Public.
do we need to post our meetings?
I don't
the
see it
paper.
on the website. I was looking
website.
Oh, we
for
are,
it.
yeah.
We are,
yeah.
and I'm
Yeah.
assuming that, I know we need to have the agenda available 48 hours. And it
Okay,
needs
so
to
if
be
we're
posted
voting on a
48
time for a meeting, I'd feel more comfortable if we took a vote on the date and time, just to make it
Okay.
official since we are recording.
Okay, why don't you, would you make a motion, please?
Make a motion to meet next Monday at 6 PM,
6 or 6:30?
6:30.
6:30. How's that? Let me amend my
Okay.
motion.
Okay. There's a
I
motion.
second the motion.
Okay. All in favor, roll call. Kyle,
Aye.
Adam,
Aye.
Chandler, not Chandler, Amanda.
Amanda, I couldn't change my name on my daughter's computer.
I thought you were a guest. Deb,
Aye.
Mary,
Aye.
Mark,
Aye.
and myself, I vote aye. So next Monday at 6:30. And I'll get that. And the agenda is going to be, the only is going to be review what we get back for a draft. And hopefully vote to move it forward to the Board of Selectmen.
Right.
All right.
Make
Yeah.
a motion
Any
to
other-
adjourn if there's nothing else.
Kyle motions to adjourn.
Second.
Second. Adam,
Have a good one.
Yep.
Amanda,
Aye.
Mary,
Aye.
Mark,
Aye.
Kyle,
Aye.
Deb,
Aye.
and I vote aye. So have a good evening, folks. Good luck over at the meeting.
Thanks,
night.
everybody.
Yep, good
Thank
luck.
you. Thank you very
Thanks.
much, everyone.
Thank you.